Thank you for tuning in to Talkwad.com, the world's fastest growing internet radio network. Please check out all the other great shows on www.talkwad.com.
Insight Talk Radio Show was born from the need to spread the word to all who want to live the amazing life the Creator has intended for us. Reverend Janet Reynolds has 30 years of spiritual insight and experience. She has studied and taught in and outside of this country and has developed a respect for all religions, beliefs, and spiritual practices that are of God's true light. The lessons she learned are now shared every week on Insight Talk Radio. Tune in every Tuesday from 1:30 to 2:30 for spiritual guidance, tips, and techniques to aid you in your life's journey. The show also features interesting guest phone readings, healings, and meditations.
And we're ready. Right, Will? We're ready? Yeah. Yeah. Well, good afternoon, everyone. And how are you? And welcome to our show, Insight. I am Janet Reynolds, your host for today. I am a spirit medium and intuitive counselor with the help of Blue Feather, my guide. The topic today is going to be on the Mayan calendar, and our special guest is Mary Lou
Houlis.
There you go, Mary Lou Houlis. I sometimes really have a hard time with names, but that's okay. We're not perfect. Is that not correct?
Well, really, we are.
I could almost say a perfect mess. I have known Mary Lou for a very, very long time. And you know what I thought about coming over here today is our dear friend that passed over, Ariel.
Ariel,
Yes. Mary Lou and I helped a very, very close friend of both of ours, Ariel, before she passed over. There was a lot that we had to do with her to help her, and she's in a better place. Right. She really, really is. But Mary Lou, please tell everybody hello for me this morning or this afternoon.
Hello, and I am so glad to be here. I thank Janet for inviting me. It's a real pleasure. I always love to talk about spiritual things in the Mayan calendar, so it's a pleasure to be here, Janet.
Oh, thank you for that. And I did do my favorite thing. I looked the Mayan calendar up in Wikipedia, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. But what I'd like to do is say, if anybody has a question, wants to ask a question, or if there's anything that they would like to feed us some input on what we're talking about today, it would be greatly appreciated. And the phone number that you would call would be 727-597-4022. And then now what I would like to say to you is Mary Lou leads a spiritual congregation in the community of Holiday on Florida's West Coast, okay? And the center is named New Beginning Oneness Center. And it's the place where she teaches and inspires remembrance of the collective memory found in the inner consciousness of each human being. And she does have some recorded CD teachings that are listened to worldwide. And you know, I didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
No.
Yes.
No.
Yeah, we send them all over.
And I think that is really neat. And the demand for them continues to increase as people seek a new understanding of life, reality, and God. And I think that is so, really inspiring and very good. So, Mary Lou, please tell us a whole lot more about you, since I only gave you a tidbit.
Well, I was in mainstream religion for many, many years and studied the Bible, knew the Bible, and began to have these experiences. And I began to see that the Bible was really a very encoded book full of numeric codes, astrology, colors, all kinds of things. And, that the Christ said the letter kills, but the spirit brings life. And I saw that it was like an onion that you just kept unpeeling and you saw deeper things. And it's really a very metaphysical book. Uh-huh. And I've studied Aramaic, Hebrew, Greek. And then I've studied all the different religions. I've gone into the Egyptian mystery religions and the Tao and all different religions, and have found that there's a divine thread that runs through all of them. And I've written articles on comparing the Bible with, say, the Tao Te Ching and things like that. Very same message. Course of Miracles, same message.
Oh, the Course of Miracles is my favorite.
Well, it says the same thing as the Bible, just worded a little differently. And I think that, for so many years, they have used the Bible as a tool to bring condemnation and guilt on people, where really it is showing us our perfection. And it really is a story of the ascension of the human consciousness when you understand it. Genesis is really your personal story and the story of the collective consciousness. So I began to teach it from a metaphysical point of view because I began having all of these awakenings, and we people started together, and we started a community that is all different kinds of people. Everybody in our community at New Beginning Oneness Center is talented and has their own giftings, and it's really a safe place where we can express our divinity. And that's really my heart, to have a place where people can express their divinity, because we all have it.
I know.
We all have it.
And that's important for everyone to know, that we're more creative and more talented than a lot of people feel that they are. Because there's a lot of times when I do readings, and the one thing that Blue Feather will say is that, you're a very creative person. And they look at me and, oh, I don't think so. And I said, but you are, and you need to understand that. And just because your creativity hasn't come out now doesn't make that it won't come out, further down the road.
Right.
So, it's important that people know that they do have, I guess, hidden qualities is a good way to say it.
And a hidden light.
There you go.
The Bible says there's a light that lighteth every man that cometh into the world. We all come from light.
Yeah.
So, it's just, we've been looking outward instead of inward to find our true self.
Yeah.
And really, our true self is within us.
Well, that's true. And the other thing that's important about that is that we need to learn to really love ourselves.
Absolutely.
And that's really, a lot of people don't realize the beauty within. And
absolutely.
And that makes it, a challenge.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, with that information about you, I didn't realize you knew so many languages, woman.
Well, I don't speak them, but I study the meaning.
Okay.
And because really, Yeshua spoke Aramaic, not Greek. So to understand the depth of what's going on in the Bible, you have to understand some Aramaic.
Oh, okay. Well, that's
Right.
interesting. Where'd you learn that at?
Well, I just studied it. I have some books that I've studied, and I have a friend that teaches it. So I began studying it and, comparing the different words in the Bible in the Aramaic and what they were really saying.
Oh, okay. I understand that. Yeah. It's good, though, that you're doing that. My daughter speaks Spanish really well. That would be, for me to go learn Spanish would be saying something. But for you to be able to go to the Aramaic and the symbols and all and work with them is really good. So it's interesting, too, I'm sure, with the information that you find.
It is.
So we're going to talk about the Mayan calendar today, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
Yes, the Mayan calendar is really very, very interesting. And the Mayans are very interesting. And I have my birth date done in the Mayan language.
Yes.
Yes.
Everybody can have that done and find their purpose.
Oh, okay. Well, I have
Yes.
it, and I have it framed, and it's in my computer room
Beautiful.
on the wall. So that's one thing that I have done. I just think that they are really, they were a very different breed of people. I guess I could say that.
Yes.
And going to Cancun, and it's Chichen Itza is where I went.
Oh, wonderful.
From Cancun. I took a bus.
Uh-huh.
And no one wanted to go with me. I wanted to go see the pyramids, and I went by myself. So the guide that was the tour guide took a liking to me. So he sort of hung close the whole time, but Chichen Itza is beautiful. And the Mayans are supposedly to have a marking, a birthmark of some kind. I think on their, is it the front of them?
Yes. Well, the Mayans that did the calendar that we're going to be talking about disappeared mysteriously.
Yes.
You know, they left their ceremonial temples and cities in about 890 AD. So, I mean, those Mayans, there are still Mayans living down there, and I've been to the pyramids too, but they really are not the Mayans that did this calendar.
Right.
That's part of the mystery of the Mayans, is how they just left and vanished so quickly. They were only a civilization for about 5,000 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yes, and I do know. But you know what what the guide told me, that, and I guess it's the heritage of the Mayan is what the people were. And if they have the birthmark,
Right.
they're saying that it is from
the original Mayans?
Yes. So
Maybe so.
If they have the birthmark.
Right.
So that's what makes it different.
Right.
So, yes. But
Interesting.
I know. But the one thing that Wikipedia says, which is my favorite thing, is it is a system of calendars used in pre-Columbian Mesoamerica and in many modern communities in highland Guatemala. Okay. It's also in Veracruz, but it's in Mexico, and that's what's important here. They do say a lot, but I really feel that what I would like to do is to have you just tell us as much as you know about it, and we'll just leave it at what I just said with Wikipedia. How's that sound?
Perfect. Well, first of all, I'd like to say a little bit about the Mayans because, like I said, it's a mystery. The Mayans really have left us a mystery, but they were an indigenous culture that lived in Central America, the highlands of Guatemala, and the jungles of the Yucatan. And it's so controversial. I've read so many books on where did the Mayans come from. And, you know, some people say that they were part of one of the tribes of Israel. And some people say that they were from Atlantis because they had this phenomenal information that I'm going to talk about. And others say that they walked from Asia across the Bering Straits about 12 million years ago.
Oh my gosh.
So we don't really, 12,000 years ago, excuse me. So there really is not a solid answer to where the Mayans originated. But what we do know about them is they had a cyclic timekeeping ability that nobody has touched. Scientifically, it's one of the most accurate timekeeping systems that has ever been discovered. So I think that's really exciting. They had all of the solar and lunar eclipses. They knew all of that. They knew when the gravitational changes, the cycles of the Earth were happening. They knew that. And right now, it shows us that we are scientifically in one of those cycles that they talked about.
Mm-hmm.
And what I think is really exciting, and I'm going to get into this, what they found in the 40s, is that I see the synchronicity of the universe, that this knowledge of the Mayan calendar didn't come to us till our consciousness had been raised enough that we could understand it.
Oh, okay.
And because if it had come years and years ago, 200 or 300 years ago, we would not have understood it. But because humanity's consciousness has been raised, we are understanding the clues that they gave us.
Okay. That makes sense.
It's really good. So it really is so exciting because it shows us where we are in the history of humanity.
Mm-hmm.
Because you see, the calendar is really the mainstay, the main thing of a civilization.
Mm-hmm.
And what calendar do we go by? The Gregorian calendar.
Oh, there you go.
Which came in 1589. Pope Gregory brought it in.
Okay.
And what happened at that time was they took out all the spiritual calendars as the Romans and Catholicism began to conquer all the indigenous cultures. All the calendars that had spiritual connotations and spiritual backgrounds, they forced them. The Gregorian calendar came with many millions and millions of people losing their lives. They forced these people, as they conquered their lands, they forced these people to embrace the Gregorian calendar. And what the Gregorian calendar does, it tells us what day it is. You know,
Right.
when
I was
you're...
going to say, can you explain the difference?
I'm going to do
yes,
that.
Good.
What the Gregorian calendar is it is only about physical evidence. It's how long it takes our Earth to revolve around the sun, which is 365 and a fourth days. So when, there's a universal law that says what you put your consciousness on is what controls you.
Mhm.
So what has controlled mankind for since the 1800s, when this happened, is a physicality. We haven't understood the spirituality, and that's what the Mayan calendar brings back. It brings back, really, it has nothing to do with this little piece of dust that's revolving around the sun.
Mhm.
And another thing about the Gregorian calendar, nothing changes. It's just repetitions, isn't it? It's every year we revolve around the sun, where the Mayan calendar is always spiraling upward. It always had a place that it was going and showing that mankind was really on a designated course, which is so phenomenal. So anyway, it left us these great clues, and it gives us hope and really vision for a future. Because, so many people, I know when 2012 was on the horizon and we knew that December 21st, that everything was going to be lined up with the Milky Way, people were talking about the end of the world. But it was never the end of the world, and that's not with the Mayans. It was a new beginning.
No.
And at New Beginning Oneness Center, we had something called Birth 2012, where we had people from all over the state come and really set their intention about entering a new age. And I'm going to go into that later. Not only does the Mayan calendar show where we are, but it correlates with the Bible, with the Hopis, with the Africans, with many indigenous cultures that all pointed to the day that you and I live in as the greatest time in the history of humanity.
But yet our calendar doesn't say that.
Calendar doesn't say it, but the Bible, that's one of the ways that I awoken was through the numbers. Biblically, 3 and 7, Christ was supposed to be alive on the earth 2,000 years ago, so we're entering the 3,000 years since him. And Adam and Eve were supposed to be alive, 6,000 years, so we're entering the 7,000 years. And the Bible says this, beloved, above all things, know this, that a day with the Lord is 1,000 years, and 1,000 years with a day. So it's showing us this 1,000-year plan, and almost every miracle in the Bible happened on the third or seventh day. It would say, and now it's the third day, and Jesus goes to the marriage of Cana, and he turns the water into wine.
Oh, okay.
Which is a picture of what's happening to us. We're being transformed. And he goes up on the Mount of Transfiguration on the seventh day and turns it back into light. And what are we learning? We're pure energy, pure light energy. So all of this is so balanced, and it just keeps repeating it in different ways, the same thing that the Mayan calendar has told us. So it gives us such hope for a future, and it's so exciting to see where mankind has been and where we're going. So what happened in the 1940s, where there was some scientists and explorers that were in the jungles of the Yucatan, and on the wet ground of the Yucatan Peninsula, way deep in the jungles, they found this pole, which they call the Quaba, and it was 12 feet high and 7 feet wide. And it had the whole Tune calendar, all the dates of the Tune calendar on it. Well, they took it up out of the jungle, and they did a rubbing of it. And it was a good thing, because after they did the rubbing, when the pole dried out, most of the markings and all of it started to go away. That's what you mean
by rubbing. They cleared it. They were clearing it out. They were cleaning it so they could see underneath.
They put a paper on top of it, and they rubbed the paper on top of it to get everything. They used to do that in England on top of the pictures of the tombs and everything. It's called a rubbing. They put a paper on top of it, and then they take something and rub over it so that everything that's on there comes onto the paper.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, it was a good thing, because once they had done that, when the wood dried out, you couldn't see the dates or anything anymore, but they had them. And with the computer, we can read it perfectly today, what it was telling us, the Tune calendar. So it was really exciting. And so the mystery of the Mayans is that, I said in 1830 AD, they left their ceremonial cities, they left everything, and we've only had knowledge of the Mayans about 180 years. That's another thing. We didn't know about them until these explorers went into those jungles and found these cities and temples and all of that. So we really weren't even aware of the Mayans for less than 200 years. So it's so interesting. So what they left us was really the history of the earth as a conscious organism and how it's been evolving.
Mm-hmm.
So it's telling us something totally different than what the Gregorian calendar is telling us.
Oh, okay.
And what you're saying about your birth date, the interesting thing, and I'm going to get into that, there's 2 calendars. The interesting thing was the day that you were born, every day on the one calendar, the Zolcan, has an intention and an energy. And so the day you were born, your first name was the name of the day you were born, because it showed that they believed that we were spiritual people, and we chose the day we would be born
Mm-hmm.
because it aligned with our purpose for coming.
You mean as in like a Monday or a Tuesday, as in the day
Right. They weren't like that, not a Monday or Tuesday, but right, the day that you were born, and I'll go into that. Every day had an intention and an energy.
right?
And there was 13 intention and 20 energies.
Mm-hmm.
And so the day you were born, you got that name of that day.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I looked at you, Janet,
Oh.
I know what your purpose was. Maybe your purpose was wisdom.
Oh, okay. I understand you. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, now that's interesting.
So they weren't searching for their purpose. They knew what their purpose was, and everybody else, because they were calling you by the name of your purpose all the time. Isn't that interesting?
Oh, I think so.
Yeah, I thought that was so
I like
interesting.
that. They
Right.
probably would have called me patient.
Yeah.
Be patient.
Well, anyway, I think that is so interesting, but it's so important today because, like I said, the calendar is the center of our whole civilization. So really, the Catholic Church is the one that told us what day it is.
I know.
They've controlled it since the 1800s.
Yes.
And so why is this important? Because it doesn't matter how long it takes for the Earth to revolve around the sun. When you, and many of us, we have pictures of the Earth now, we can see how small it is. But what matters is what's happening with civilization, what's happening with the consciousness of humanity. And that's where this Mayan calendar is just so exciting, that it shows us all that. So the calendar became a powerful tool. And I always like to say it like this: we've really been brainwashed, because you know what dogma is? It's an unquestioned belief.
Okay.
And how many times have you questioned the calendar that we use?
Yes.
So really, one of the greatest dogmas in our society is the Gregorian calendar. And the thing is, we've been brainwashed, but I think we've entered the rinse cycle now.
Oh, I agree with you with everything that is going on around us at the present, especially with the Catholic religion.
Right.
Yeah.
Isn't it interesting about what this Pope, the first Pope in how many decades or years to have left?
They've never had one resign.
Never. Is this the
Never.
first one?
This is the first one that has resigned. And I think what fascinates me was when he said that he felt like God was asleep when he was talking to him.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Oh, yes.
I think there's something so big
yeah.
behind it.
There is something big, and it's so big that he won't show anybody the paperwork that he does have. He's saving that paperwork for the new pope that comes in. And I'm only going to say one thing about that. If this new pope that comes in with all the information that I have gathered from different people and everybody's views, which everybody has their own opinion, if this pope comes in with the name of Peter, then I'll tell you what I heard, because that's not good.
That's not good, huh?
No, it's not
Yeah.
good from different people's perspective.
Right.
And I've been told this by more than one person. And that's why, you know, so there's a big ordeal here with him stepping down.
Absolutely.
So, and it's Catholic religion. So it's to do with religion, with the Catholic religion. So we shall see. Let me just say that.
Right, right. And I think everything in this physical realm always has a counterpart in the spiritual realm. It's always opening a portal for us to see something deeper that's going on. So we know when something this monumental is happening, something's being shaken.
Something underneath. Now, I'm just going to say real quick, if anybody has a question and they would like to call in, the phone number is 727, and where's my piece of paper? Okay. I give up. Wait a minute. I'm going to wear.
I have faith in you, Janet. I know you're going to get it. You're going to get it.
It used. Oh, there it is, right there.
Yes.
727-597-4022. There you go. Boy, I tell you what, when I get perfect, go ahead.
You are. You're just waking up to it. You know, there's a Sufi proverb that says we are practicing remembrance until we forget forgetfulness.
Oh, there you
and
go.
I think that's so true. We are practicing remembrance. And I want to remind you, you are perfect, Janet.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you for that this morning or this afternoon. I need that.
Right. So anyway, back to the Mayans. The Mayans look beyond the physical evidence. We have had our eyes. Wherever our consciousness goes, wherever our attention goes, that's where our consciousness goes. And so we've had, as a whole global society, we have had our consciousness controlled by the physical realm.
Mhm.
And the spiritual's been taken out. So they look beyond the physical evidence, and they had 2 calendars, and that's what I want to talk about. And the first one was the Tzolk'in, and it's called the Count of Days, and it had 260 days, and it was a sacred or personal calendar, and it included 13 intentions and 20 aspects of creation or distinct energies. So what is that telling us? That every day when you wake up, that day has a purpose. And that day has a creative energy.
Mhm.
Wouldn't that be wonderful if you knew the energy and intention of the day?
It would.
And you can align your purpose with that day?
Yes.
And that's what they knew. They knew how that every day was energetically different than the other one, so they could align their perfect. They knew when to start a business. I mean, what if you knew when it was a time of new beginnings and support and the energies of something new, and you started your business on that day? Or, you know, there's so many things. Got married on a certain time.
You know, what's important that you say is the word purpose,
Yes.
because there are a lot of people who do not know what their purpose is.
Absolutely.
Even though they're married, they have children, and they go there day in, day out, and they do not know what their purpose is. And I think that part is sad, that we don't know what our purpose is when we get up in the morning. I mean, just to get up and just to have our children right there is a purpose.
Absolutely. And that's the thing about the Mayans. At birth, you know, you knew your purpose. Your name was your purpose, so you knew. You know what I love too? This is off the subject a little bit, but you know, a lot of indigenous cultures, I heard this, you know, we're so quick to criticize and reprimand people. But do you know, in this African culture, when a mother was pregnant, they would take her into the jungle and all the women would surround her and they would get the song of the baby.
Oh.
And when the mother had the baby, they would sing this song as she was giving birth to the baby. And then on all the different events of the child's life, its birthday or graduation, whatever it was, they would sing its song to the child. And if the child ever did something wrong, ever got into any trouble, the whole tribe would circle the child and sing the child's song to bring him back into remembrance of who he was.
Oh, how
Isn't that
beautiful.
phenomenal?
Yeah.
I just love that. I mean, we've lost so many of the indigenous cultures, like the Mayans, have so much to give us, you know, when we go back and learn about them. But anyway, the Tzolk'in is 13 times 20, and it was 260 days, and that was the personal calendar. And they had the aspects and purpose of the day. Every day had an aspect and an energy and a purpose. And one day could be unity. So that day you knew it was a great time to bring people together. You would know that purpose of the day. I think it's just so phenomenal. And it would have a primal cause. And so all of creation is resonating in that day with that intention and that energy and that purpose. Just so beautiful.
Yes, it is.
And we're learning that everything's energy, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
I mean, you know, I was talking to an acupuncturist this morning, and they believe all diseases is blocked energy of some kind.
It is. Definitely. I agree with that 100%. I
Yeah.
really do. So, yeah, no, it's, I could say it this way, I guess. As a nation, we've come a long way.
We have. And it's just what the Mayan calendar said, that we were going to really awaken. And I believe, we're seeing a worldwide awakening because this is the time that we're in is there's portals that are being loosened that have held the consciousness in place. We know by the Mayan calendar and others, that the polarity of the poles are being loosened. And I think it's a real opening in time for us to ascend and awaken to our real purpose.
When you use the word ascend, though, people look at that word differently.
Well, I mean to release old beliefs and paradigms.
There you go.
And be able to go into new beliefs, be able to embrace things.
Move forward.
Absolutely.
For something different. Yes.
Right.
And you're very correct. You're very correct in that. I agree with you.
And something greater. So each day was like a tool of a gear that would go, and the intentions and the intentions and the energy of the days would change. And there was a cycle of 52. And at the end of that 52 cycle, this is another thing that is so interesting, I think. They would turn off all the lights in the city, and everybody would be released from any debts that they had.
Oh.
And then from the priest, they would light something in the temple and then go and light the fires in all the homes. So every 52 rounds of the Tzolk'in was a new beginning for them.
Oh, how nice.
Isn't that awesome?
Yes.
So awesome. So, and I said your first name was the day you were born. So every Mayan knew exactly why he had come and why he was born. Then there's another calendar called the Tune, and that was what was on the pole that they found. And that's the one that shows us, it goes right along with the pyramids. It has 9 steps up, just like the pyramids, if anybody that's ever gone. And it's got 13 sections, which they call days and nights. And there's 7 days and 6 nights. And if you've ever read the Bible,
there's 7 days and 6 nights.
7 days and 6 nights of creation in Genesis.
Yeah.
Same thing. And it's so beautiful. And the Tune was a divine or prophetic calendar. And what it was showing, and I wish I could show it on the screen because it's so phenomenal, but it was showing the evolution of the consciousness of humanity. We can go back and see where the consciousness was when the first civilization came in. It's just so phenomenal. So they were looking at something much greater than just something physical that was, revolving around in the heavens. And it was carved 2,500 years ago, and it goes back 16.4 billion years to the Big Bang Theory.
Oh,
their
wow.
calendar. Isn't that something?
Yes.
Up into 2012. So and I said it has 9 levels. So each day was called light, and each day was called light, and each night was called the darkness. And so what it was every day represented a period of enlightenment, and then the night is how it responded to that. And when you go back, this is the other beautiful thing about the Mayan calendar. When you go back, you can see how the last day always brought the fruit of that whole time, that whole level of consciousness. Like it starts with a telegraph in one period, and it ends with a computer. And you can go back and now, because of history, we can go back and check that out.
Okay. Now that's unique. That's something.
Isn't
to think
that
about.
something?
Yeah.
It's really something. So when we go back, we start off, let me just take a look with the cellular, and it shows how every one of the 9 levels also is 20 times faster. Like every day and every night was, I think it was 1.26 billion years. So every day we can see how slow, the energies were changing and creation was changing. That was in the first level. Then when we go up to the mammalian level, every day and every night was 63.4 million years.
Oh my gosh.
So it got 20 times faster. Then we go up to the familia, which is the evolution of organized families and all of that. And every day was 3.2 million years, and every night 3.2 million years. Then the next level was the tribal, and that was every day and every night was 160,000 years. What I'm going to show you is the day that you're living in. Things are changing so radically. The energies are changing every 20 days, every 15 days now. We're, in the beginning of creation, at the Big Bang, it was billions of years,
Mm-hmm.
before things were changing. So after that, we get to the regional, which is the evolution of the human consciousness, where organized religion came in and all of that. And it was every 8,000 years. Every 8,000 years was a day, and every 8,000 years was a night.
Mm.
Then we get into the national, which was the evolution of civilized communities. That's when our first nation, Egypt, came together. They split and came together. And every day and every night was 394.3 years.
Mm-hmm.
So can you see how?
I know how it's changing. I'm listening, and I'm thinking it out in my mind. I'm listening.
Okay.
So
Then we get to the planetary, which was about 1755 AD is when we entered the planetary, and it was every 19.7 years was a day, and every 19.7 years was a night. Right. And that was the evolution of global consciousness, power, materialism. That's when we saw all of the Enron and all of, the things like that were we could get by with things like that in those days.
mm-hmm.
What we ended up in was the galactic, and that was about 1999, and the energies changed every 360 days. And what happened? That's when Enron and all of these things came to the surface, because that was an ethic. We had entered at that time in 1999 a time where only ethics would work.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, the energies of the universe are only going to support things that are ethical.
Mm-hmm.
And all the things that aren't ethical were being unveiled. We used to think, our politicians were gods, didn't we? Think they were perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're hearing all the things that have been going on in the government and pharmaceuticals and,
And businesses.
Exactly. So really,
It's not ethical. It's not of integrity. There you go.
Right. But
It's
it won't work
not.
anymore.
No, it's catching up with them. I understand that, but I don't know. I just think that we've lost integrity, ethics, however you want to say it.
But I think it's being revealed, and it's not going to fly anymore. And that's what the Mayan calendar really shows us, that we've been working towards something. And I see that in the people that we deal with, Janet.
Mhm.
There's so much more loving, more supportive, more giving, people that really are awakening and in tune, and I think harmony with the evolution of the consciousness and the divine plan that's going on here, are knowing what I do to you, I do to myself.
I feel you're correct in what you're saying. I agree with you, and I think the way that I'm going to say it for right now, only because I see a lot or hear a lot about what's going on around us, is I agree with that to a point, and it is, because look what happened with Sandy when we had the hurricane, how
Right.
everybody has helped everybody, or a lot of people have helped a lot of people, and
Right.
that's what it's about. It's helping people, and
Absolutely.
yes, so I hear what you're saying.
And I think too, though, I also think that the worst of the worst is coming to a
halt.
crescendo,
Yeah.
because I think it's like a boil.
Uh-huh.
All of it has to come to the
It
surface
has
and
to
explode.
fester.
Yes.
I agree with you on that too. So let's just hope it hurries up and pops.
Yeah. Well, I think in 2012 it has popped. I think we're in
a
a
lot
new
has
time.
popped.
Yes.
Really.
And in February 2011, we entered in what's called the universal time, where it's cosmic consciousness, no limitations, a timelessness. So where we really have come is that we are realizing that we're one,
Yeah.
that we're really unified. And I think that is what people are waking up to. And I think people are dissatisfied with the same old anymore. Don't
Well,
you?
they are, and it's going to take the people to change it. It really is.
Oh,
Yes.
it says we are the ones we've been waiting for.
Yeah.
Gandhi said that, I think. I can't remember who exactly said that, but it's the absolute truth. Nothing's going to change. The only person we can change is ourselves.
That's right.
So when we deal with integrity and love and knowing what we do to our brother or sister is we're going to get back. And that's another thing I think. I think karma is just so fast now.
Mm-hmm.
For good and for
And
bad.
for bad, yeah.
Absolutely. I think
Yes.
what you put out there comes back so fast now.
Exactly. And it does. It really does.
Oh,
So-
absolutely.
and it's important to know and to understand that if you're not going to do something right or of integrity, that it is going to come back and get you.
Absolutely.
It really is.
The Bible-
And that's important.
Absolutely. The Bible says you reap what you sow. And
Yes,
I
you
think that's
do.
exactly whatever we're planting with our words, our actions, and our deeds, we're gonna get a harvest of that. But I think has come so much faster now.
Well, I
You
think
know.
our day goes so fast, Mary Lou.
Creation is speeding up.
It is.
Creation is speeding up. See, that's what it shows too. More is happening
Yeah.
in shorter periods of time.
Yes. And I've been told that we might be a 24-hour day, but we're moving 16 hours. Fast.
Absolutely.
Fast.
And the
So-
energies are changing radically. Where it took billions of years, for a day to change or an energy to change, they're changing every few days now.
Mhm.
And we can feel that. I think energetic systems are trying to catch up with what's going on.
And I once more, I agree with you on that. I really do. So,
Yeah.
what I do want to say to you, though, if you have something more important to talk about the calendar, we only got 15 minutes left.
Okay.
Well,
Well,
so we'll say we got about 8 minutes left, and then we'll use the other half for announcements.
Perfect. Well, what I wanted to say was I just wanted to show that a few other indigenous cultures and things line up with the Mayan calendar, telling us that we have entered a brand new beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a beginning that the Egyptian stone calendar, the Great Pyramids, indicated this present time cycle, and it ended in 2012. You may not know that, but the Egyptians were right in the line with the Mayans said. And the Hopis, they predicted a time of turmoil and purification, that the end of the fourth world, what was a world of chaos, would be giving way for a world of peace and harmony, the fifth world. Exactly in the timetable that the Mayan calendars. The Hopi calendar also ended in 2012. And they said, we are the ones here to choose our own future. And it depends on how we treat one another
Mm-hmm.
and how we live our lives. And, in the Bible code, I've also studied the Bible code, which is every few symbols in the Bible, they found a code in it. And it talks about, and it was always hard to understand, it talked about all of these terrible things, that could be happening on the earth, hurricanes and all of these things. But in the Bible code, there's such a profound statement, and it says this: what will you do about it? Showing
Wow.
that we have the power to really choose. In fractional time, Greg Braden says that there is all these opportunities in every instance, and we choose the opportunity of that moment.
Mm-hmm.
So it's what will you do about it? So I think that is really where humanity has stepped. What will we do? How will we treat our fellow man? But they said the path of humanity ends with a reunion with the divine. And in the Bible, on the holy days, it calls one the Day of Atonement. And that's exactly what it is. It's talking about a time at one with the divine. Bible goes right along with it too. And in the seventh day. And then there was an ancient Inca tribe that they preserved these prophecies for over 500 years. And they said it's a time that the world will be turned right side up. Isn't that interesting?
Well, yes.
And chaos and disorder will end, and harmony and order is going to be restored.
Well, then we have something to look forward to.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. In the Hindu, the Kali Yuga also, it's the end of the Yuga, and it's the time of the many enlightened ones. And some of the indigenous cultures say this is the time we're going to see ourselves face to face.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. And
That could be scary,
I know. Yeah.
if you think about that.
Yes.
But you know what? Everybody should look, in a mirror,
Absolutely.
face to face, to see what they are about.
Absolutely. But I think what it really is referring to, that we're going to really see our own divinity.
I understand.
The Bible says the kingdom of heaven is within us, and I think we're really going to be able to see the truth of our inner being, who we are. And they also, the Hopis say that the doorways between the two worlds are opening again.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we're seeing that. I know in the work that you do, you're seeing that a lot, aren't you,
I
Janet?
see. Yes, I do. I do. I see the other side, and I really find it amazing the messages that they give me for the people. So,
Right.
And I think that it's good when the family member comes in and says certain things, and they bring in good memories. They really do.
Absolutely. Have you, not to change the subject again, but have you read that book that Dr. Eben Alexander, he was on Oprah, Proof of Heaven, talking about all the different dimensions that he experienced? He was a brain surgeon and went into a coma for 7 days.
Oh, how nice.
And had a phenomenal, and one of the questions Oprah asked was, did you see God face to face? And then they cut off for a commercial, and he comes back and he said, God's in everything.
Oh, okay.
Phenomenal book for people to read.
Okay, so tell me the title.
Proof of Heaven.
Oh, okay. Okay, because I did just read one about the child that had died and went to heaven, and how he's come back and said what he saw. And I'll have to get you the title. I just read that. It's been I guess a year now, and how he saw heaven and how he saw God. And if I'm not mistaken, in the purple robe.
Oh.
He saw God in a purple robe.
Well, this guy said he saw God in everything, that the divine is in everything.
Right.
Which we know is true because everything came out of the no thing, the nothing.
Yes.
And we can only see things because we separated, but it's so phenomenal.
I'll have to read that because I like the part where you say there's many levels, because I've done regression and I know there's many levels.
Right.
And that fascinates me. Well, I've been told 7 levels. So.
But what I loved about him, he said, what I think is important for us, he said, there's many, many universes, but every one is founded on love.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, our free will is a tool for us to use, but there's many beings around us all the time that are really watching what we do. We may seem insignificant, but the choices that we make and the things that we do are vitally important.
Yeah. And they are. Our family members, our spirit guides, angels, they're all around to help.
Right.
So that's really important for all of us to know, because a lot of people don't realize they have guides or that they have master teachers coming in to help us out of a situation. So
right.
It's good that he has put that on paper.
And what I think is really good is here he was a brain surgeon, all scientific, and he had patients that had some experiences, but he just blew them off.
Mm-hmm.
And here he is coming back, and Oprah asked him, how do your fellow doctors treat you? And he said, they're polite.
Well, that answers that. Well, our time has gone by so very fast, and I realize you've told us quite a bit of information, and it's a lot to absorb. But Mary Lou, I'm sure there's more. Am I correct in that?
Oh, I could go on for a long time. There's a lot more.
Yeah. So I guess maybe we could say to be continued, and then you can come back and we'll pick up some more about the Mayan calendar and everything, and the way that and where we're going with it, and all. So
right. I would love to.
Well, I really appreciate you coming and telling us what you did today, because even for me, I've learned a couple things. Well, I probably learned a whole lot. I'll just stick with I've learned a couple things. But one thing I do want to mention real quick, is when you went, did you go to Chichen Itza? You did, didn't you?
Yes, I did. Went to the pyramids.
Yes. Aren't they beautiful?
Beautiful.
And did you walk up
I did.
Do you know what the guide told me?
No.
Anyone that walks up the mountain, that pyramid, and comes down it, will be gifted with an extreme amount of energy.
Oh, how wonderful. I'm going to count on that.
Well, honestly, and I
Yeah.
really do believe that, only because of myself. And I have gone up the mountain, I keep calling the mountain,
Pyramid.
up the pyramid. I've done it twice.
Great.
Chichen Itza, to me, is beautiful. And Tulum, did you go to Tulum?
No, I didn't.
Well, the grounds have changed, and I went to Tulum, and where many years ago when I went to Tulum, I could have cried my heart out when I went in there because I could feel so much pain there. And that was where they threw the virgins in Tulum, okay, many years ago. And when I went back 2 years ago, because the ground has changed, because they have put fences up, because you're not allowed on a lot of it, you're not allowed on it anymore, of the ruins, you're not allowed on them. The energy it's totally changed. It's
Isn't
like
that
it's
something?
I could feel the energy going in. After that, I could feel nothing.
Isn't that interesting?
I got chills and emotional in the very beginning of walking in, and then after that, nothing.
How interesting, Janet.
And it's because of what has changed.
Right, exactly.
So,
interesting.
But I do love Chichen Itza. I really do. So, but I want to thank you very much for being here today. We got about 6 minutes, and I do want you to please tell them about the solstice.
Right. Well, first, let me invite you, if anybody is looking for a community or home, we are New Beginning Oneness Center in Holiday at 4004 Bonita Road, and we meet every Sunday at 10:30. We have beautiful music and inspirational messages and meditations. If you come at 10, there's people that do free Reiki. We have the Diksha blessing. We have all kinds of things happening before service. And then the first Sunday of the month, we have started what we're calling a Children's Awakening group, where we are bringing the kids in and really helping them remember the power that lies within them and their purpose, and really, stretching them to be these world changers. So we would love for you to bring your children the first Sunday of every month, and that Sunday we also have a potluck, which everybody is welcome. But on the let me see, what was the date of that? On the 20th, which is a Wednesday night at 7, we have the equinox at 7 o'clock, which is a beautiful ceremony, and we usually have a fire outside. So we would love for you to join us for that too. And if, like I said, if you're looking for a home, come to New Beginning, because we have open arms just to bring you in. And our heart is for everybody to be a divine expression, because we know that everybody is gifted. And that's really our heart, to find a place, prepare a place that people can really express their divinity.
For all of us who are different.
Right.
There you go.
That's it.
Yes. So, and don't you have a webpage?
We do. It's www.nbocenter.com. And just like the name Oneness, we embrace all spiritual paths, because from my study, and I know that there's a divine thread through all of them. So we're looking forward to seeing many of you at our center on Sunday.
Including me.
Yeah. Janet's going to be speaking there soon.
I know. I can hardly wait. Now, for all of y'all, for me, go to www.bluefeather.net. I have my calendar out there. You'll see where I'm at. And, of course, I'm all over the place. I think the 2 places that I go to the most that I really enjoy is Treasure Island Flea Market. Which is outside, which I spelled Flee on my flyer. So if anybody sees that, Trish corrected me and said FLEA. And I said, okay. She said they do have spell check on Constant Contact. But I didn't think I was wrong. So why should I use spell check?
Exactly.
But I'm at Osmar on Sunday, the Osmar Flea Market, and I'm out at Treasure Island on Friday, and it's just a lot of fun. I do readings, and people do stop and ask for a reading, and I have men who stop and ask.
Oh, how fun.
So, well, it is, because you don't get many men who would like to have a reading. So
right.
I find it a lot of fun out there. I really do. I meet a lot of people. And I'm having a seance in my house on March 10th, if anyone is interested. So please call 813-814-1601. And I do still have some availability. And I did have that in my flyer also. So there's really a lot going on, but I need to stop. I just want to thank everybody for listening. I want to thank, of course, Mary Lou one more time. And it's called To Be Continued, because I'm sure there's more here that we could learn. And today was an overload, but that's okay. Yeah, it was a nice overload. I have to go process it.
It is a lot. It is a
Yeah,
lot. And just in 1 hour to try to just give an overview of it.
I know.
I think just to remember that it really shows the evolution of the consciousness, and that gives us hope.
Yes. And people really are changing. So everybody go and have a good time, and thank you very much. And I will see you next week. And my guest next week is Patricia McGavin, and we're going to be talking about regression. And that's going to be another beautiful experience, because if there's one thing I understand, that's regression. So, what's good, though, is everybody that comes on, I know a little bit about.
Isn't that
what they're
wonderful?
Yeah.
That's great.
We're not going to contribute that to age.
Okay. No, intelligence.
Yeah, there you go. Wisdom. So goodbye, everyone. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
That's great.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for joining us today on Insight. Join us weekly, where we will give spiritual insight, tips, and techniques to aid you on your spiritual journey. May Spirit be with you.